going to travel to South Africa and meet Estee Stern, who has had an international career. She studied in Israel and she's taught in America, including in Florida and locally in Melbourne. She became an associate Rebbetzin of the Sydenham Shul, one of the largest congregations in the world, in July of 2007. Estee is also Rebbetzin of the Shtibel Minyan, where there is a large and a thriving community. She is the proud mother of 6 children. She's a life coach, and she's also a dynamic and vibrant speaker. I've loved listening to her keynote speeches on Chabad.org, and we are so excited to have her here tonight. Estee, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, please can you tell us, you spend a lot of time with young people and you also coach them in your role as a life coach. How can we each discover our mission statements?
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. And warm regards from Johannesburg. In fact, being married to an Australian myself and having lived in Melbourne for 2.5 years, I really do feel a part of your community. So it's honestly an honor and a privilege and a joy to be joining Sinai Down Under. There is a story told about an elderly couple from Toronto who decided to spend the long weekend in Florida. They were literally desperate to get some sun and thaw out from that freezing, horrible winter that they were living through. But due to their work schedules, it worked out that the husband would fly down Thursday afternoon and his wife would join him Friday morning. As he arrives in sunny Florida, he checks into his room, and the first thing that he does, he opens his laptop and he sends his dear wife in Toronto an email. But by mistake, he leaves out just one letter of her email address, and without realizing, the email was sent to somebody else. Well, in South Africa, a widow had just come home from her dear husband's funeral. He was an important member of the community, and he had suddenly died from a sudden heart attack. The widow comes home from the funeral. She sits down to check her emails, expecting to find messages from relatives and friends from around the world. But as she reads and opens that first email, she faints. Her son comes running into the room to see what happened. He looks at the screen, and the email reads like this. To my darling wife, I have arrived and checked in. It sure is hot down here. I see that everything has been prepared for your arrival tomorrow morning. I cannot wait to see you then. I hope your journey is as uneventful as mine was. Love, your dear husband. Friends, we have arrived. It is Elul 5780. We are standing at the end and the beginning of yet another year. And each one of us, every single one of us, is filled with hopes, with new dreams, with new aspirations for the new year ahead. But at the very same time, we carry the disappointments, the concerns, the losses, the fears, and the worries of the year that was. It hasn't been an easy year for any of us. It's honestly been a roller coaster of ups and downs, of challenges, of opportunities. And the question is, how can we ensure that this new year of 5781 is unique? How can we ensure that it's different to all the other years that have come and gone? And so when delving into new beginnings and deciding what path and which direction would be best for each of us to embark on, it's really helpful and extremely eye-opening to look into God's beginning, to find out what he did at the very beginning, to look into the opening of the world and find the message hidden over there, how we should go about our new beginning. And as we know, the Torah opens up with the miracle of creation. In the beginning, Bereshit bara Elokim, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And then just a couple of words later, we read that God said the words, Vayehi or, let there be light. And so we know that light was the very first creation that God created. But interestingly enough, if you think about it just for a second, light itself is actually not an entity. What is light? The purpose of light is to illuminate other objects, to be a light for something, for someone else to see. Why then would God create light on day one? Maybe it would have made far more sense for God to have first created those creations and those creatures that require light. For example, maybe he should have first created the plants, the animals, man, those creatures and creations that need light, and only after creating them, then bring in the concept of light. And furthermore, if on day 4, we know that God created the sun, the moon, the stars, those creations that give us light, then what exactly was the or? What exactly was this light that he created on day 1? What did he do on day 1? And so a person who decides to build a company, to design a project, to write a thesis, the very, very first thing that needs to be done before starting anything else is to articulate the mission statement. The why am I doing this? How will what I'm doing help society? What is the objective? What is the message? What is the deeper meaning behind my company, my project, my thesis? What is the deeper message behind what I am trying to accomplish? Now, unfortunately, many people who skip over this very small and seemingly insignificant step and do not clearly define the objective at the very start, often what they have to do is to go back and restart over. You need to articulate your mission statement first before embarking on anything you start on. And this very same principle applies to our Creator God as well. Before God began to create the intricate details of our magical world that we have around us, he first had to define and articulate what the purpose of creation is. What do I need? Why am I embarking on this project? What is the objective behind creating the universe? Why do I need to go ahead with what I want to do? And so what did he do? He so clearly articulated this in just 2 words. He said, Vayehi or, let there be light. The purpose of life, the purpose of existence, the reason that he created the world is so simple, yet so profound. The reason God wanted a world in the first place is because of light. We live in an absolutely crazy, meshugana world. We only have to look back at the past few months to realize that. I mean, who would have ever thought that this is what 2020 would look like? Life can seem so dark, dreary, uncertain, unknown, and extremely troubling at times. Life just isn't easy. And COVID-19 doesn't make anything easier. In fact, it just makes everything that much more difficult. But that's where we come in. Our job, our mandate, our mission statement is very simple. It's to reveal the light, the meaning, the opportunity that is present in every single situation, in every single experience, and every single day. It doesn't matter how dark or uncertain the world around us may seem. God has charged you and I with the sacred task of discovering the light, discovering the or, the joy, the celebration, the happiness that is hidden in every single event and in every single episode. When God created man on day 6, he didn't just create us as human beings, but rather he created every single one of us as ambassadors of light. He begs every single one of us to redefine our world, by bringing light, hope, goodness, opportunity to every person we encounter and every situation that we find ourselves in. And every time that we confront our own negative habits, every time we look at our own disempowering beliefs and challenge them, and every time we look at our own challenging traits and make the best of them, what we're essentially doing is we are transforming our negativity into rays and beacons of light. And so, on day one, when God said the words, Vayehi or, let there be light, he wasn't actually creating a physical creation. He wasn't creating a physical light. Rather, what God did on day one was he was defining the mission statement, the purpose and the reason why we live in this world. And we as his nation, we have been blessed with the goal of transforming darkness into light, chaos into growth, and turmoil into opportunity. Now, this sounds great, empowering, and perhaps a fantastic attitude to have when beginning a brand new year of 5781 and really wanting to make a difference in our lives. But how do we practically find that joy, that light in every situation, especially living through the times we currently are? There's a story told about an opera singer who was renowned for his readings and his recitals from the classics. He always ended off his performances with a dramatic recital of Psalm 23. Every night, without exception, as the actor began his recital, "The Lord is my shepherd," the crowd would listen attentively, and then they would burst out in a standing ovation, in a thunderous applause. This actor had such an ability, such talent to bring the Psalm 23, to life. One night, just before he was about to start his routine, an old Jew, a very old Jew from the back of the audience, spoke up and said, "Sir, would you mind if tonight I recited Psalm 23? The actor was surprised, but curious at the same time at this very strange request of the old Jew. And so he invited him up on stage. Softly, the old man, the old Jew, began the psalm. His voice was weak. His tune was horrid and lousy. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." When he finished, there was no applause. There was no standing ovation, but an intense sobbing. The audience had been so moved by the old Jew that there wasn't a single dry eye in the audience, in the crowd. Amazed and blown away, the opera singer asked, "I don't understand. I've been performing the psalm for years and years and years. I have a lifetime of experience and training, but I've never been able to move an audience like you have tonight. And to be perfectly honest with you, you've got a horrible voice. You can't carry a tune. Tell me, what is your secret?" Humbly, the old Jew turns to the opera singer and he says, "Sir, you may know the psalm, but I know the shepherd." We are so blessed that we have a direct line, a direct connection with God himself. He is Avinu Shebashamayim. He's our Father in heaven. And by keeping that in mind and knowing that our loving Father only wants the best for us, he only wants us to grow and succeed in our lives, that is an awesome reminder of our mission statement behind life. Vayehi or, let there be light. And please God, the year 5781 should be a year that is filled with happiness and light, but not just light, revealed light and goodness. A year filled with meaning, purpose, focus, and direction. We should be reunited with Avinu Shebashamayim, with our Father in heaven, please God, in Jerusalem. May that happen speedily. Amen.
Thank you so much for such a strong and powerful Rosh Hashanah message, and also for the tips and the idea of discovering light, and for it to show us something else. And thank you so much for being here.